Hello and welcome to the next episode of the John Martin Show. Today is actually the 30th episode, so trying to just a little festive. I am here with Stev. So can you introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Esteban Rodriguez. I go by Stev. Find me on Instagram at Stev Radio, and then I go by Mayberry. If you've heard of them, that's me.
Mm-hmm. So how did your musical journey start? Because we had talked about a little bit about it before, where surprisingly it started with church, and I noticed that this seems to be a trend with different musicians where church, for whatever reason, tends to be like a kickstart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did. I went to Catholic school growing up. So from elementary to middle school, I was a Catholic school kid, and I was in classes where there was no more than 15 people. Mm-hmm. So I was really secluded from like the outside world. I'd get to school at 8, get home at 5.
Yeah.
And then I'd be home with my brothers till the next day. And every class I had was with the same people. Like first, second, third, fourth, fifth period was with the same 15 people. So I got introduced to music when I was about 5 or 6. My dad took me to a store, Hastings at the time, and he was like, hey, well, let's listen to some music. He was really into hair metal and 80s music, Def Leppard, all that stuff. So he was like, hey, let's pick, or at that time too, he was really big into Creed. So he was like, hey, pick a CD. You want to get Queen or Creed? And I knew none of them.
Yeah.
But the Queen album cover looked way cooler. So like, let's go with Queen. So he's like, all right. So at the time, we didn't have anything to do. It was a Saturday. He puts the car in park. I opened up the CD. I had never seen a CD booklet before. And at the time, when you would get CDs, it would come with a lyric book with all the credits, the co-writers, the lyrics. So I'm reading through it, and it was a greatest hits album, and there was maybe like 30 songs on it. And the first song was Bohemian Rhapsody. So I listened to it, and I'm like mind blown. I'm like, what? Somebody wrote this? This is like a crazy song.
Yeah.
And my dad's like, yeah, read the lyrics. So I'm like reading them, and I'm like, how did they come up with this? This is crazy. So I probably heard that song, no joke, 50 times that day. Over and over and over. And we were driving, and I'd be like, hey, put number 1 again. Put number 1 again. Put number 1 again. Because I wanted to memorize it. And I was like, man, this guy's voice is insane. So that was like the beginning of my musical journey, because I was like, man, I want to learn how to write. And my dad was like, all it is stories. Yeah. Songs are just stories. Back then, they were stories. Now there's a lot of... Yeah, there's a lot of...
You're trying to get those TikTok hits.
Yeah, and those mumble raps. They don't say anything, and it's the same thing over and over. But back then, those kind of songs were stories. So Bohemian Rhapsody opened my eyes into the music world. Mm-hmm. My mom was a huge country fan, so she always had like Kenny Chesney, Toby Keith, Tim McGraw. And the same thing, like anytime I would see a physical CD, I would go through the lyric book and read them and be like, dude, this is a story. So probably about 6 or 7 years old, I started writing my own songs. Wasn't singing yet, but I would just write, and then I would throw it away, write. Now, because I wanted to write a story, but not like a storybook format, but like a song format. So I would always be like, how can I write a story that sums something up in 3 minutes? So I would get home from school every day and try to write songs. And then one day, it was probably Thanksgiving or Christmas, and one of my cousins comes in, and they go to my room, and they find my little journal lyric book, and like, you write songs? Like, what? And then they're there, and they're reading it out loud to the family, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Yeah. And then it's worse when somebody's reading your lyrics like out of context and out loud.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh my God. So I was so embarrassed. I was like, man, you know what? I'm never doing this again.
Do you still remember some of the songs or no? Like the lyrics or...
I remember the name of it. It was called 3 Pieces of Gold, because they still bring it up. I don't remember what it was about. I was like 6 years old. But after that, I got really involved. I got deep into music. I was a big Green Day fan, Blink-182. And the only reason I knew about them was because I would wake up at 6:30, school was at 8, and me and my brothers would sit in front of the TV and watch. There was a channel called MTV Hits. So we would just watch music videos all the way till it's time to school. And then when I would get to school, I would write songs. I wouldn't pay attention in class. I was just trying to write, trying to come up with band names. And I was only 8 or 9 years old. So during that time, like I said, I was in a Catholic school.
Mm-hmm.
And then usually when people graduate from 8th grade, they go to Med High or SciTech, which is in Mercedes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and people who go there, they usually want to become doctors, engineers, and all that. But for some reason, I had a gut feeling that I really needed to go to a public school because I felt so secluded. Like, all my friends were the same
people.
10, 15 people. So I finally went to Edinburgh North, and it scared me. It was like a culture shock because I had never seen so many people in one classroom. And then every period was different people, and I knew nobody. So I was like, dude, I had so bad social anxiety, and it was so hard for me to make friends. It was hard for me to start a conversation with somebody, and not even thinking about girls, because I was like, there's no way I'll ever get, at that time I was like, there's no way I'll ever get a girlfriend. Like, I can't even get a guy friend to talk to me. I don't even have people to sit with at lunch. So that happens. My high school counselor ends up being my dad's good friend. So my dad kind of talks to him and says, hey, convince him to get into sports. So I try to get into sports. And at that time, too, like I said, I was a late bloomer. I didn't grow to 6'1" until I was maybe like 20 or 19. So I was probably like 5'5", overweight because I wouldn't do anything. And
What sports had you joined? Because you had mentioned, I think we talked a little bit about.
Yeah, I was thinking of all the sports.
It was
I
baseball
did
and basketball, right?
Baseball, basketball, soccer, and choir. And I got kicked out of all of them. Baseball, I was in there maybe for about a month, and they knew I was a new kid, and they knew that nobody would defend me because nobody knew me.
Yeah.
So they would I was insecure about my body. I was fat. I was shorter. So I would change in the stalls, and then they would, hey, fatty, get out of there. And they would get my Adidas backpack, wrap it in gum, put it in the toilet.
It's actually pretty dedicated the more you think about it, because the amount of gum it would take to tie up a bag.
Oh, I know, yeah. And there was like 10 players that would all put gum in their mouth just to wrap my bag.
Jeez.
So they were just bullying me, trying to get me to quit. And looking back at it now, I shouldn't have quit, and I should have stood up for myself, but that just built me to who I am now, because I won't take shit anymore.
And that's good, because I think at a certain point, anybody who's been bullied eventually becomes a bully themselves.
Yeah.
And that happened to me eventually, where same thing in middle school. I was in football, and I would get bullied. Like, I would change in the locker room. Not in the locker room, but like in that stall rather than with them. And after a while, you kind of get like pissed off, like, why the fuck are they picking on me? Yeah. And then once in a while, once you go to like the initiation or whatever you want to call it, like they start saying like, you know what, you're actually a good football player. Become part of us. Yeah. And then once I start seeing them bully other people, I'm like, why the fuck am I going to be like them? Yeah. And I think the worst part was there was this kid, he was eating a corn on the cob. And every time he would take a bite, like he would kind of like look around, bite it, do it, and we just like started like mimicking him. And he realized that we're making fun of him. He started crying. And at that point, I'm like, I can't be doing this.
Yeah, you don't want to be the bully.
Because like
bullied to bully.
Yeah, because like it wasn't that like bullying. Like I want to be part of bullying, but like it was just something you're doing with your friends. Yeah. But once you see like you actually hurt someone,
realize you're hurting them, it's bullying. Yeah.
Yeah. So that happened. I'm like, you know what? I can't be doing this. And then, like a couple of days later on, I find out that he's actually my cousin.
Oh shit!
And I'm like, oh shit. So then, like,
you're bullying your own cousin down
without knowing it. Yeah. So then I'm like, you know what? We became friends afterwards, and like kind of like worked out eventually where we became good friends. But like the stuff you're going through, like I know how it feels. Like even it never stops. Like that's the other thing I was gonna say. Like you're mentioning how you should stand up to yourself. People think that bullying stops around like school. No, it continues into the workplace.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Where if a coworker knows that they can take advantage of you, they'll keep doing it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's everywhere. It'll be at gyms. It'll be at work. It can be at anywhere.
Anywhere. It does not end. So if you don't stand up for yourself, I mean.
Yeah, and you have to learn how to do that. And sadly, I was too scared to. So I just let so many things slide because I quit. I was a quitter back then, and I couldn't handle it anymore. I quit baseball, wanted to get out, tried football. That lasted a day. I went to my history teacher was my basketball coach. So I thought for sure, like, if the teacher likes me, I'll make the team. So I go try out for basketball. Right even before we even start practicing or lining up to do drills, he cuts me. He's like, nah, I don't think you're going to be good for the team. So I'm like, all right. So then I go back to my counselor, and he's like, man, you can't catch a break. You can't catch a break. And then he's like, what are you good at? And I thought back then that choir was for girls.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to say choir. I didn't want to say I could sing. But I was like, and he was like, can you sing? And I was like, yeah, I think I can. And he's like, why don't you join choir? So I'm like, all right, I'll join choir. So then that day, again, nervous, filled with anxiety because I don't know anybody. It's a brand new elective. I get to choir and I walk in and there's a whole bunch of people there like staring at me. And then I knew nothing about choir. Like they have all these terms of I don't even know how to say it. What are the names for like the choir? The alto.
Alto, bass. Yeah.
Yeah. They started asking me like, what are you, an alto, a bass? And I'm like, I have no idea. And they were like, well, did you do choir in middle school? And I was like, no. And they're like, oh, well, you had to have done choir in middle school to be in the elective. So go back to the counselor. You're out of choir. Oh my God. So I was like, dude. So for 4 years, I did PE. Yeah.
How was that?
Because I couldn't find anywhere to fit in.
Yeah.
And freshman year was horrible. Like I said, I never once had a lunch because I was so afraid. I would think, but the moment I would get to school, I was already thinking, who am I going to sit with at lunch? Like, I didn't want to be that guy who sits by himself and look like the weirdo. So right when fourth period would end, I would go straight to the library, and I wouldn't even like to read, but I would just try to kill time with a book and then go to my next period. And I did that for a whole year. And then school would be over at 4. And by 3:55, I was calling my mom, please be outside at 4. I don't want to be standing out here by myself. So at 4 o'clock, she was there to pick me up. And that's what happened. And then, like I said, maybe 2 years, that was freshman year. Sophomore year was the same. Junior year is when I was like, you know what? I need to make a change. I need to start eating right, working out. So I got in decent shape. Not to where I wanted to be, but I started being a little bit more social. I started watching videos on how to talk to people and how to be. And I've always been a nice guy, but
did people ever like realize that you were eating lunch alone, like in the library, or no?
The librarians.
Yeah, because I was wondering, like, this guy could have been a school shooter or something.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
He's planning something in there.
Yeah, I know. But I couldn't take lunch into the library.
Yeah.
So they thought I would tell them I'm going in to study. And they're like, don't you have lunch? And I'm like, yeah, but I eat at home, which I wasn't. Yeah. But I was just so riddled with anxiety that I didn't want to sit with nobody. So that happens for freshman year, sophomore year. And then junior year, I do the CDC, which is like the catechism at Catholic school for you to get
your sacraments.
Yeah, sacrament. Yeah. So that's when I met my friend Braden Dillard, which is my drummer. We would talk about music. He would tell me, hey, I've seen you before. You go to local shows. I was like, yeah. So then that's when, during that time is when I think I had told you earlier that I went to a Boys Like Girls show at the VFW. I went to a show called Amber Pacific. They were a good band that I liked at the time, and they played at STC Cafeteria. Like I would go to so many shows at the most randomest spots. There'd be like little bars, cafeterias, all this, and then every summer after that, once I knew Braden, I would go to Warped Tour. So it was like a festival of like 60 bands, and then they would play all day with 5 or 6 different stages.
They had a couple of them here, right, in the valley? Or
yeah, that was Never Say Never.
Never Say Never
festival. Okay. Yeah, I played those with Mayberry. The first year I didn't, but I said, you know what? I love this so much. I'm gonna start a band and I'm gonna play NSN next year. And the next year it happened.
Oh shit!
Yeah, so we did some pretty badass stuff with that.
How did you get into those shows?
Well, at first I joined Braden's band. He had a band called TCA, which was This City Alive, and I was only the backup singer. And like I said, he asked me if I played bass. I said yes, but I didn't know how. So I went to Walmart. I bought a bass and I bought an $80 amp. I stayed up all night, practiced bass. Went to practice the next day. Then he was like, "Hey, well, we're gonna start playing. Just play along with us." I didn't know what I was doing at all.
Oh my god.
But I acted like I did. I was just like, my fingers are hurting and like I'm out of tune. I was just making up excuses. And then he gave me a burnt CD and he was like, "Here, well, we have a show next weekend in Mercedes, so just try to learn them." So I put so much focus in those next 2 weeks trying to learn how to play those songs because it's only four strings.
Yeah.
So I practiced and I started playing shows with them, but they knew I could sing, but they didn't know how well I could sing because they had a lead singer. And I'm not trying to talk shit or anything, but the singer that they had would smoke so much cigarettes that his voice, 30 seconds into a song, his voice would blow out.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, man, they're going to have to replace this guy. And I'm going to be that guy that replaces him. Like, I knew it. Like, I was like, once this guy's out, I'm in. Like, this is easy money. So we played a show. It turned out it was like at a pageant or something, and it ended up raining out. So they turned it into an acoustic show because they couldn't set up the amps and all that. So it was just me and the lead singer in front of all these pageant girls.
Oh shit. And
then he was so addicted to cigarettes that I knew if it was going to be without drums or bass or electric guitar, like it's gonna be just raw vocals and it's gonna be him on the mic, like it was gonna be a horror show. Especially the way he sounded with all the instruments. When it's just raw guitar and vocals, it's like, dude, you can't play an acoustic show with a voice like that. And then before we're playing, he's still smoking cigarettes, so I'm like, oh man. So then I can tell that he's getting nervous and he knows I can sing, so he goes, "Hey, I'm feeling sick. Do you want to go halves on all the songs? Like, I sing the first part, you sing the last part." But he was just making up an excuse because he knew his voice was going to give out. So I was like, yeah, we can do that. So I knew those songs by memory. He would start singing, and like the first note that came out of his voice cracked like crazy. And I'm just there with the bass. It was an acoustic bass, and I'm looking at all the pageant girls, and they're like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "Oh man!" So then I kind of step in and take over, and I sang the whole set because he made up an excuse saying like, "Dude, I can't. I feel sick. I'm getting a sore throat." And I'm like, "All right, I'll take over." So I sang the whole set. I was maybe like 17 at the time. And then we finished playing. We maybe did 5 or 6 songs. And then all the pageant girls come up to us. And they're like, "Oh my God, you guys are amazing." And she's like, "You're one of the best lead singers I've ever heard from down here." And they're telling me.
Yeah.
So the guy is like furious. He's like, "I'm the lead singer. Like, he's just a backup. And they're like, "What?
Why isn't he the lead singer?"
Yeah, that's basically what they said. They're like, "Oh," and then one of the girls, no filter, was like, "He needs to be the lead singer. Like, when you started singing, you were cracking and it didn't sound that great, but right when he came in, it was beautiful. You have such an amazing voice." And the guy was getting so defensive. He was like, no, it's because I got a sore throat and all this stuff. And I was like, it wasn't my band, so I didn't care. I was like, yeah, well thank you for the compliment. So right after that, we get into the car. The dude's pissed. And I helped him out.
Yeah.
If it would have been just him,
he asked you to help out,
I helped him out. If it would have been just him, it would have been a shit show. So we get into the car, he gets pissed, and he kicks me out of the band.
Damn.
And I'm like, all right, well, I tried to help you out. I get you're mad that girls said that I sounded better, but that's not my problem. I practice. So what I end up doing is just stealing his drummer. And nice. I start Mayberry. So that was my own songs. I graduated high school, and you know how like usually when people graduate high school, they throw like high school graduation parties.
Yeah.
I got all the money that I saved from my high school graduation, and instead of buying a car, what people usually buy with their money, I I had started talking to a band called Artist versus Poet, and I loved their producer. His name was Jeff Rockwell, and I asked him, "Hey man, I got a budget. I got $6,000, and I just got it for my high school graduation. Is there any way you can produce an EP for me?" And he goes, "My starting rate is 15,000."
Oh shit.
He's like, "So if you can come up with another 10, I'll do it." And I said, "Well, that's not possible. I don't have a job." And he put, "You know what? I like your drive, and I like that I scrolled up and you've messaged me 100 times in the past year." He's like, "So let's do it. $6,000. You'll get 5 songs." And I'm like, "Oh my god!" So that was in Dallas. So we drove up to Dallas. We did our first EP. It was called All I Need, and that's what catapulted the Mayberry scene. From there, we grew a fan base. Did music videos. We started playing big shows. And then from there, I've been writing ever since.
So when you were starting off Mayberry, how did you make that actual leap? Because I think a lot of bands tend to struggle with just being in the local scene, never like putting their name out there towards other areas.
Yeah, no, I always think big. So I would reach out to bands in Dallas, San Antonio, and say, "Hey, let's start a tour. Like, you guys can come play here. I'll play San Antonio. I'll play Dallas." We played Six Flags, and we planned out like a 2-week tour where we just rented a van and went all around to every band's hometown and played a show. We made no money, of course, so we were just starting, but it was a good experience, and it helps build character. And some shows had 50 people. Some shows had like 3 people at a bar just watching you, like, who are these kids?
Yeah.
But to me, I didn't, at that point, I knew it was still a building stage, so I didn't care at all how many people were there. I wasn't letting it get to my head, like, why isn't anybody here? I just wanted that experience of being on the road, playing, setting things up, putting things together, sounding better each show. So all that led to me sounding better and performing better and knowing what to do when it was time to put on a good show back at home. So we would play shows back home all the time. We play festivals. And I don't know what I'm skipping, but we played with Fall Out Boy, Rixton, Fifth Harmony.
How did you set those shows up?
They came down for a Christmas show. It was called Mixmas. And it was Fall Out Boy, Brixton, and Fifth Harmony. And what's that girl? Well, she's in Fifth Harmony. That Camilla Cabello or whatever her name is. Yeah. So they asked who the biggest. Oh, well, before that, I think it was Channel. There's so much to talk about.
Go for it, man. This is the whole point of the show, to get deep into those conversations.
Yeah, because there's so much stuff that happened. Okay, so first, one day, I'm still in Mayberry, obviously, and I'm at work, and my mom calls me, and it's like 4:45, and she goes, "Hey, The Voice is doing a Valley competition. It's at 6 at like some eye center in Mission." And I'm like, "Okay." And then I was like, "When is it?" And then she was like, "Today." And she was like, "I signed you up." And I'm like, "What? It's already like 5 o'clock." She's like, "Yeah, here, look, I brought you a shirt. Like, just comb your hair and let's go straight over there." And I'm like, "Mom, I just worked all day. I don't want to do that."
Damn.
And I was like, "What am I going to sing? Like, I'm not prepared at all." And she was like, "I have a good feeling you'll win it. You'll win it. You'll win it." And I'm like, "Mom, I'm sure thousands of kids from the Valley are doing this." And she's like, "Please, just do me this one favor and just show up. Like, even if you don't make it, just say you did it." So I'm like, "All right, I'll do it for you." I did it for my mom.
Yeah.
So I get there, we drive out to Mission. They do roll call. There's like 500 people there. And we have to wait in line. And I'm like, "Oh, why did I do this?" So then, while we're sitting there, I still don't have a song that I'm going to sing. And at that time, I was already doing YouTube covers. Because I would release one every day, every Friday. So I would record the song, tape it myself, finish, get the USB, put it on my laptop, edit it, and have it up the next day. Okay. Like, my work ethic was like next level, because I wanted everything done quick so that people would request a song, and the next day I would have it out.
Do you still remember like how many views you were getting and subscribers you had at that time?
Probably like in the 15,000 was the highest it got 15,000 on YouTube. But it's because I focused more on Twitter. I had gotten to like 50K on Twitter. Oh, and like right now, my YouTube's down because I post all my videos on Instagram. That's what I'm saying. Like, it always changing apps.
Yeah.
So now I'm trying to focus on TikTok because IG's dying down. I don't post full videos on YouTube anymore because I put all my focus on Instagram. And then now that I'm putting all my focus on Instagram, all the attention's going to TikTok. So it's like, oh man,
and by the time you catch up,
yeah. And before YouTube, I was putting all my attention into Facebook. And then after Facebook, it was Twitter. And then I grew my following huge on Twitter. So then here's 2 stories that went down that were pretty badass. So I'm at the voice thing. I don't know what song I'm going to sing. I'm going through my YouTube playlist and I'm like, what song should I do? Some girl comes out. It's a huge room. And she's like, all right, well, you guys have a minute to sing any song of your choice. And I'm like, all right. And then she's like, you're going to go in there. Don't say anything. Don't talk to anybody. There's no mic. There's going to be 3 judges there. Go in, sing 1 minute of any song you want, whatever part you want. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I ended up doing, because I had just covered it the week before, and it was When I Was Your Man by Bruno Mars.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? Like, let me just go in and do it. And I did it. And I think I started on the bridge part. So I finished. It was a minute, so it was quick. I was in and out. I walk out. I go back. Everything's normal. And then they say, okay, well, when we call your name on the list, you can leave. And there's like 500, not 500, maybe like 300 of us. They start calling all these names. People are walking out. And they never say my name. And I'm like, what the hell? and I felt like I didn't even sing that well because I wasn't prepared. I wasn't remembering the lyrics. So I was like, oh, I ruined this. I was like, but then again, I was kind of rationalizing it because I was like, they told me an hour to go to show up here. Like, if I don't get it, I don't mind. So then they get down to like the final 10. They still hadn't said my name. And I'm like, no way. And I'm like, and they were like, the 3rd place winner gets a year of this. I don't know what it was. The 2nd place winner gets a trophy and this. And then the 1st place winner gets flown out to Chicago next Saturday to audition for the TV show.
Damn.
And I'm like, what? And there's 10 of us. So I'm like, imagine that. So then they're like, and the 1st place winner, and then it was me. So I was like, what? Like, it was a minute. And I'm like, no way. So then they come, they take a picture with me. They make me hold the sign saying that I won. And then they said, okay, how many people are you taking to Chicago? And I'm like, well, when is it? And they were like, next Saturday. And I'm like, okay. So next Saturday, I flew out. I did The Voice. It was a grueling process because it's like an actual TV show.
Yeah. Do you still have that footage available or no?
On The Voice?
Yeah.
No, that wasn't recorded.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, because it was a pre-screening. So you go, how it works behind the scenes. I'm going to spill some secrets. I get there, and there's maybe like, again, 500 of us, and each one of us won our local
the competition
circuit. Yeah. So we get there, and then I go, and I'm like, you know what? I'll sing the same song. So I probably waited in line for like 8 hours. It was 1,000 people there, like going circles. You would sing a minute, going circles. So I'm like, man. So I got there maybe like at 9 in the morning, and then maybe like at 6 p.m. it was my turn to sing. I was exhausted. I get there, I sing it. They're like, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. I'm like, okay. And they're like, we want to talk to you. I'm like, oh shit, I made the show. But nothing was recorded. I'm like, okay. And they're like, look, we already picked our cast and we have enough males already. What we're looking for is a Latina and an African American lady. And I'm like
put on a wig.
Yeah, part of me was like, you just wasted my time.
Yeah.
Because you could have told me that in the morning. Like, I was there outside all day just for them to tell me, we love it. You'd be great on the show, but we already filled up the roster with men. We need a Mexican girl and a African American girl.
It's like a girl saying, like, hey, I want someone like you, but just not you.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like, what? Like, I was here all day. So whatever, that happened. So then I get back home and I get right back onto the YouTube.
The YouTube brain.
Yeah, YouTube grind. And the first song I do, it was a band called 5 Seconds of Summer.
Mm-hmm.
And the song was called You Look So Perfect. Same thing. Like, I was a full-on grinder. Like, if I wanted a song done that night, I was going to release it tomorrow. So I would get my brother, my drummer, film it, have it ready, edit it that night, stay up till 3, and then release it tomorrow at 7.
Sorry about that. It's because the word grinder has a different meaning.
Yeah, I know.
Full-time grinder, boy.
No, so then I did that, and I didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
I put out the song the next day. It blew up on Twitter. Everything's good. And then I get an email from, like, 2 days later from Ryan Seacrest.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and they're like, hey, we found your cover on YouTube. We want to put it into another national competition. I'm like, oh my, again? Yeah, I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, all right. So they're like, do we have your permission to use the track and the video and all that? And I'll send you the screenshots because it's all over the internet.
Oh, you still have that stuff?
Yeah, I have all that stuff. And then, and the only reason we lost, because the winner was going to get like 60 grand.
Oh.
And it was a $5 YouTube video I did like on a whim. Like, hey, let's just cover a song and then put it out tomorrow. People were requesting it. And then 2 days later, they're asking me if they can use it. So we came out on the newspaper for like a month every day. Like the whole valley was behind me and the band. Like, hey, make sure you go to this website and vote for Mayberry on the Ryan Seacrest competition. And we were getting like crazy votes. Like I was like, I have this many fans that would actually get online and vote.
Yeah.
And it would show you like 90,000 people from Edinburgh voted. 100,000 from McAllen. 200,000 from Harlingen. And I'm like, what? Like, where am I getting all these fans from? But I guess the news and the media is such a big thing.
Yeah.
And when even if they don't know your music or know who you are,
the fact that you're from here. Yeah.
You're from here, they're like, oh, this guy's got to win. So we were getting interviews from everybody. We were getting all over every newspaper. And we were in first place for like a month. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, dude, I'm about to make 60 grand. And you know what happened?
What's up?
You want to know why we lost?
What happened?
Because that was at the peak of One Direction.
Oh no!
And the singer from One Direction tweeted to go vote for the girl that was competing against me.
No. Yeah,
that was like a worst nightmare situation. The guy from the biggest band in the world he put something like, if you guys can do me a favor and go vote for this beautiful lady.
You still remember which specific member it was or no?
Yeah, it was Louis.
Oh man.
Yeah. It wasn't Harry or anybody. It was Louis. And then I can still find that tweet too. It ruined my whole night when he was just like, hey guys, a friend reached out and they want me to tell you guys to go vote for her. Please, let's help her win and make our city proud. Because I guess she was from his city.
Oh, okay.
So with that one tweet, we got killed by like millions when we were up ahead by like 50, 60.
When did you see that tweet?
I saw it the next day when I woke up. Because I had a bunch of texts like, dude. I'm like, what? And I thought they were telling me like, you won. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And they were like, the guy from One Direction tweeted to go vote for your competition. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. So that killed it. But then because of that, I got the keys to the city for Edinburgh. So I got recognized by the city. They gave me a plaque with all this stuff, all our accomplishments. And that's when, I guess that's when more people found out who we were. And when Mixmas came down, the only band, I guess, State Farm could think of locally that was in the pop area was Mayberry. So they called us and they asked, hey, do you want to open up for Fall Out Boy? And I was like, of course. So, like, I would go to their concerts when I was 11 and 12 years old. So we did that and opened up for them, opened up for Rixton. And then every summer we worked with Boys Like Girls. So like all the EPs and mixtapes that we've done have been with the Boys Like Girls guys. because they're our friends now. So me and Hector, my younger brother,
Yeah.
we go and we do that.
How did that start off? The relationship between you and Boys Like Girls.
That's when, like I said, they played a show. Well, I met them first when I was 13 at the VFW. My mom was so sketched out. I met them, but I was 13. They didn't know who I was. And then I was maybe like 18, and I used my high school money to go record with that guy that I told you, Jeff Rockwell.
Yeah.
And it's still on Spotify. You can go listen to it. It's an awesome EP. But I burnt a CD, and I had this gut feeling that they were going to listen to it. So my whole family works in the same spot. We're all in the steel business. So I told my mom, hey, what time are you going to lunch? And she was like, noon. And I'm like, can you do me a huge favor? She's like, what? And I was like, can you go drop this off in Hidalgo to the guys from Boys Like Girls? And she's like, no. Like, my lunch break's an hour. Hidalgo's an hour away.
Yeah.
Boys Like Girls is not going to be there at 12. They're going to, in her head, they're huge. They're going to fly in. They pay people to sound check. So I'm like, fuck. And then I'm like, well, who can I ask? And at the time, Hector, my younger brother, who ended up being in the band and played with us, I say, hey, Heck, convince mom to go drop off a CD. And he's like, dude, they're not going to be there. They're going to be they have people to sound check.
Yeah.
There's no reason for them to be there right now, like at all. Like, it's 1 p.m. What are they going to be doing? Like, I'm sure they're chilling on their bus, or they're probably still in LA, and they'll fly at 4 and get there at 6. Like, and then for some reason I've always had this huge manifestation and intuition feeling. When I know something's gonna happen, it happens. So I kept pounding and pounding and pounding and pounding. So then I go again and I ask my mom, and it's maybe like 3, and I'm like, Mom, please, I won't ask because I couldn't leave.
Yeah.
Like if I could, I would, but then I would have to quit my job because I didn't have that kind of I didn't have that power that I have now that I'm the manager. But I was like, Mom, do me this huge favor. I burn a CD. Go see if they're there. And if they're not, then I will never ask you for anything again. And then she's like, all right. So her and my brother Hector drive to Hidalgo. And they get there. And all the guys from Boys Like Girls are outside riding their bikes and working out.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why did I know?
I'm surprised security let them in there.
Yeah, I know. Well, they were riding around, like, because there was nobody there. It was only 3. So they were riding around the arena. They were in the parking lot. Like, it's not like they were in the back. There was no fans there. Fans weren't showing up till 5 or 6. This was like at 2:00 in the afternoon.
Damn.
So Hector calls them, and they come, they wave, and like, hey, what's up? And they pull up, and they're like in their little BMX bikes. And then Hector's like, oh, you guys coming to the show tonight? And he's like, yeah. And then he's like, hey, my brother's coming tonight too. He told me to drive an hour over here to give you the CD. He was like, can you please do me a huge favor and listen to it? And then he gets it, and he's like, oh, yeah, for sure. So then he like threw it like in a box or something that he had there, like a backpack. And I'm like, and Hector was like, yeah. Right when he did that, I knew that he was never going to listen to it. Because he was just like, yeah, for sure. All right, well, we'll see you guys at the show. Do you guys want a picture? So then I'm there, I'm at work, I'm wondering what's happening. And then Hector sends me a picture of him and Martin, the singer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell? And I'm like, you met them? They were there? And he was like, yeah, you were right. They were riding around on their bike. I was like, did they get the CD? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, did you tell them to listen to it? And he was like, yeah, they said they would. And I was like, all right, badass. So then I go to the show later that night. It was cool. It was fun. And then I don't hear anything for the next couple of days. And my high hopes are way up there. So I'm like, oh, please. I'm praying for like a midnight call. Like, hey, this is the guy from Boys Like Girls.
Yeah.
So I was like hyping myself up. Like, oh, dude, this is going to be badass. Like, they're going to wake me up in the middle of the night. Something's going to happen. This is going to be sweet. And nothing happens. Yeah. And then 2 weeks later, I get on Twitter, and I had just gotten verified on Twitter. So I thought it was the shit. And I get a DM, and it's the guys from Boys Like Girls. And they're like, hey, man, we're off tour. Finally heard your CD. Love your stuff. Let's work. can you be in LA tomorrow?
Damn.
And there was no way I
Yes,
could be in
yeah.
LA tomorrow. So I was like, I would have to quit my job. But if I did that, I would have no money. So I was like, look, I can't tomorrow. Can I save up some cash and be there in 2 weeks? And then he was like, let me check my schedule. And he was like, yeah, you know what? That works. Let's do it. I'm like, all right, perfect. I'm down. So ever since then, I linked up with Morgan and John. They did our first EP. We flew out to Boston. The second time was LA. The third time was Boston. The fourth time was LA. And then now they're like my mentors when it comes to music stuff because they got me my first publishing deal, which I got completely screwed out of because at the time I was just young, hungry, and really wanted to be in the music business. So I did a song called Heartbeat, and we did a music video and everything. And there was a publishing company called Position Music that loved the song.
Yeah.
But what they do, a lot of them do, not all of them, but they rip off young, hungry artists.
And in what kind of ways do they rip you guys off?
So the way publishing companies work is that if they know that you're hungry and you're broke and you'll do anything to be in the music business, they'll buy the song from you and they own the masters. So you have no rights to the song.
Yeah.
Like the song is theirs. So they send me the contract and me just being like, I get to say that I have a publishing deal. I'm in. I'll sign right now. And in the contract, it was basically them saying that they were going to buy the song for $500. And to me, $500 was a bunch of money.
Yeah, especially for a song. I mean,
yeah, and I'm like, dude, fuck yeah. Like, I'm getting my first publishing deal. Like, stuff's about to happen. And I sign it. They send me a check of $500. And 2 weeks later, it's on NBC. Like, publishing companies buy your songs and they pitch it to networks. So then networks use it for commercials and television. So then I'm like freaking out because there's a Mayberry. So there's a video on my Instagram of that song Heartbeat is being used for a bear. I don't know if you remember that show Bear Grylls.
Bear Grylls sounds familiar.
He was like one of that adventure guy who would
Oh,
do
yeah,
all
yeah.
that shit. So it's like him premiering his new season, and it's like the Mayberry song in the background. It's like him doing all this
damn.
crazy shit, and I'm like, holy shit! Just come to find out that I got $500 and the publishing company got 50 grand from
the song.
Yeah, from the song. And it was only 45 seconds. But they got 50 grand to use 45 seconds.
How did you figure that one out?
Because John and Morgan told me, my producers.
Okay.
They were like, dude, you should have read the contract. Like, they can get paid whatever they want because you sold the song for $500. And I was like, damn. But yeah, was it NBC? NBC only used 45 seconds of the song, and to do that, they paid them 40 grand. So I got screwed of that. But then, like, there's so many other blessings that came my way with it because I became friends with Dana White, the owner of the UFC.
Yeah.
So he's flown us out a couple times.
How did that one happen?
Twitter. Yeah, I sent him a song that I have called "On Top of the World," and he wanted to use it for a UFC song. So he was like, "Dude, I love this." And then he was like, "Where do you live?" And I was like, "Texas." And we were DMing. And then he was like, "We have an event in Dallas. Do you want to go?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, I'm a huge UFC fan. I was like, "Yeah, I'm in." And he's like, "All right, cool." He's like, "Well, I'll set you up with the VIP tickets. You'll get backstage access, and you'll get weigh-in access." So it's on my, like, if you go through my Instagram feed, you'll see all that shit. Like, it's my seat, and then it says like an official stitched name of Steven Rodriguez, and then Dana White right next to me, and everybody that's there is looking at me like, who the fuck is this guy? Yeah, like, he's a celebrity if he's with Dana. So that was that. And there's been so much other stuff. I've been doing that. I write songs weekly. With the Mayberry thing, maybe about 2 years ago, I took a break. I kind of got burnt out. I wasn't really happy with it anymore. I was still writing songs, obviously, but the music scene completely died. Like, when I feel, I'm not trying to be cocky, because there's obviously so many good bands that still play, But when Mayberry would play shows, we would pack them out
Where would you guys
with
play here?
females.
Like here, you said here, right? Or what do you mean by like the music scene dying?
The music scene dying, like big shows at Cine El Rey.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you mean here, like in the valley?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, in the valley.
Okay,
yeah.
Like what places would you guys perform?
Cine.
Cena?
Well, anywhere, but we would like to do Cine because we'd pack it out with females, and that's when I say we. For some reason, Mayberry got a lot of hate because our fan base was females, and like all the hardcore guys who just want to mosh pit and stuff would be like, I hate when Mayberry plays because there's so many girls, and I'm like, dude, how is that a complaint, bro?
I'm surprised that was happening back then because even now, I talk about some of the younger bands, and they always tell me that some of the older bands are always like gatekeeping the younger guys out.
Why?
I don't know. They just think like, oh, we've been here longer than you. We're the hardcore bands. Because right now, like what's really trending right now is basically like punk, pop, indie, like the lighter stuff. And with these older guys, like they're in their 30s and they're like really into like metal and all that shit. And they're like, what this is our scene.
Bully them.
Yeah. And it doesn't happen here. Like it also happens. I have a friend from Laredo. He has a band called Honey Rot. Same thing over there. That the older guys always try to like bully the kids like from playing.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, it stopped after COVID. Like before COVID, like after COVID passed, whatever, those guys kind of just disappeared. And I was looking around like, well, they probably didn't make it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, dude. Yeah. And COVID happened. I still worked during COVID, but I did take 2 years off of performing, and I did gain a lot of weight. Well, now I obviously lost it.
Yeah, I lost it.
But I got kind of depressed. I didn't know what I wanted to do. But that's why, like I told you earlier, I have a catalog of like 100 songs that I'm still gonna release. Yeah, and I'm doing it slowly. I know you've been saying that I've been releasing videos weekly, and I only do it. I'm only doing covers to build up hype and followers. Because you gotta get I can't just drop an original song tomorrow and expect it to blow up when nobody knows the song. Like you gotta be strategic with it and build it up with songs that are kind of hot, and then do a good rollout, hire a PR team, and then release a single that's yours. And then from there you build up your hype, release a music video, and you start promoting an EP or a full length. I prefer going the single route now. Before it used to be albums.
Right now it's just a big push. Yeah.
And now it's singles. So I think what I'm going to do is keep doing covers for either a month or two. Try to be a little bit more consistent. I got to pick it up on TikTok. And I need to change my Mayberry Spotify to Stev.
Yeah.
Which is kind of hard for me to do. It's easy to do like on the computer, but it's like in my heart, I'm like, man, I'm about to turn all these Mayberry songs into Stev.
At what point did you realize that you had to do that? Like, you know what? Because you mentioned you got burned out with Mayberry.
Yeah.
With
a bad contract.
Yeah. How did you like start like switching over? Because even your style, like I saw some of your older music videos. Because whenever a mutual friend was showing me them, and you had like a different hairstyle. You seemed like more like emo-ish back then, I guess.
What song?
I can't remember right now. It was one of your music video ones. Right now,
Heartbeat?
I think it might have been that one.
We're at the carnival?
Yeah.
That's the song that I sold for $500.
Oh, shit.
That was my real ex-girlfriend, the one that I kissed at the end.
Yeah. Shit. Yeah, because I was looking at your video, I'm like, damn, this guy went kind of like from like the punk, like the emo-ish type thing, and now you have like the blonde hair. Like,
yeah.
How did you like start changing that? Like, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore.
I didn't do it on purpose. It was just naturally. Like, at that time, I was really into leather jackets and having my hair black. And then over a while, I just started putting highlights in it. Well, it wasn't like highlights right now. This isn't natural highlights.
Yeah.
I would just do it all one color. And then my hair grows out. And my hair is naturally dark. So, like, it looks like they're highlights. But it's just that I haven't done it in so long. But yeah, I started switching over to Stev. More like of a pop sound. I don't know, just something different because I can write all genres. I did that country cover. I could do country. I could do pop. I could do rock. I could do pretty much any cover, any genre. So I think right now I'm still trying to find my sound and still trying to pick the perfect genre and single to drop first, and then from there I'll do a rollout and I'll drop singles every other week just to keep content going and flowing. And video, and then I'm gonna need a new video guy because the video guy that I was working with is doing something else now.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I'm looking for a video guy. I have one that's doing one for me next week, but I need a consistent video guy.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, because I don't like video guys who are lazy. Like that's my one thing. Like I don't like when somebody films it and then they'll text you a week later and be like, "Hey, it's almost done." Like I'm one of those guys who's like, "Hey, will it be done tomorrow?"
Yeah,
and it's a lot to ask, but like if I'm paying you,
no, yeah, you're paying them. Yeah, if it's free, I kind of understand, but like if you're actually paying them, yeah.
Yeah, like I don't like that whole.
It's a deadline.
Dude, can I take a piss real quick?
Go for it. We were talking about you switching over from Mayberry to Stev.
Yeah, so I did the Mayberry thing. I still did it. Last year I was still doing Mayberry, but it was mostly me and my drummer because Hector, he's a full-time Forex trader. I have two younger brothers. So he's a full-time Forex trader. And then Carlos is JC, so he does his own rapping stuff. That's why we have the studio, because we all work in here. So the music scene down here kind of died, and I didn't want to do Mayberry shows with like indie bands and stuff like that. Not like that we're better than them, but it's just a different crowd and different venues.
Have you ever thought about just doing like one final show before you completely get rid of that name?
No, Mayberry's never gonna die.
Oh, okay.
I'm still gonna do Mayberry shows.
Oh, okay.
But for right now, I rebranded to Stev because it's just me, and the covers are just me. So I changed the hand. I still have the Mayberry handle, but right now I'm focusing on Stev. I'm gonna be releasing music under Stev Radio or Stev. The handle is Stev Radio, and yeah, dude, I have songs about everything.
Because I want to see you perform at least once. Like,
oh, dude, yeah, you'll see me perform a bunch. That's what I think I do the best is when I perform because, like I said, I've toured before, and my favorite thing to do is perform live. The covers are just something to do to keep content going, and then I get a lot of requests of people requesting songs. So then if I see a request that I like, then I'll do it.
Yeah.
But since I think I have a pretty good work ethic, I try to pump out a video a week. But I also work full time, so it's hard. Like some days I get home at this time, and I start doing my covers at like 10 at night, and then I release them the next day. So right now, what's today? Thursday?
Yeah, today's Thursday.
So I think I'm gonna shoot a video on Sunday and have a new one done by next Thursday.
How did you get that kind of worth it? Like, how did you get that? Because I mean, not many people have that. I mean, most people, because this is like what happens where like some people become just consumers of content. They never bother to produce anything.
Yeah.
How did you like switch that over? Because it's so easy right now with so much social media. TikTok, it's easy to get distracted with just consuming products. But here you are with your great work ethic and then also like producing content.
Yeah. No, I love doing it, and I don't do it for attention or fame or I just love doing it because if I really wanted to go viral, I would be doing it every day.
Yeah.
And I can clip up old videos of me and posting them and all that. And like I said, I'm on social media a lot, but I don't like social media because I feel like it's a waste of time if I'm not posting content that I want to post. And putting out songs that, well, I love writing music, and it sucks that I have a vault of like 100 songs that I've written in the past year, and every time I write a song, it gets better, but nobody's heard them except for my brothers and some of my friends. I'll send you some.
Yeah.
But hopefully by the end of the year, I've already started doing some merch designs. Like I said, I have boxes of Mayberry merch because I would sell so much merch. Had an online store, and then maybe about 2 years ago, I had an investor come up to me. He approached me. He found me on YouTube, and he was from McAllen.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, "Hey, I'm willing to pump in $500,000 behind you because I believe in your vision and your project." So it sounded like a great deal. I didn't take the money because I wanted to see his ulterior motive.
Yeah, you had learned your lesson.
Yeah, so I was like, well, we'll see. And then he was like, "Look, I'll fly you out to LA with the best producers." I did a song. I don't know if you get on my my Spotify for Mayberry, there's a song called "Playing with Fire," I did that with J-Lo's producer. And then I wrote another song called Intuition with the guys who work with Justin Bieber.
Mm-hmm.
And I did 3 songs with them that I still haven't put out. And I wrote Playing with Fire in about 2-3 hours. Because now it got to the point, it's like that 10,000 hour rule where when you do it so much, it gets easy. So I pumped out that song, and right when that started happening, I started seeing him trying to control everything. And that's when I was like, he's going to give me money, but he's going to completely own me. And that's all a record label is. I've been approached by record labels, but record labels, all they do and all they are banks. Mm-hmm. So they'll give you a loan. Let's just say you get signed for $200,000. You're in $200,000 of debt. So they'll give you the $200K, but you got to recoup the $200K. And then anything you make over the 200, you only keep 20% of it. So people who are getting signed to record deals now are getting completely screwed. That's why I stay independent. Yeah. Because I look up to an artist named Russ, and he's an independent artist, and he makes all of his own videos, all of his own music, all of his own publishing, and he keeps 100% of all the music and all the royalties. If he were to be signed to a record label, he'd be making not even a quarter of what he makes now.
Yeah, because I can't remember what interview I was watching where some artist had mentioned where if you get like signed up with a record label, you'll probably make a lot more money, but you're not going to keep all of it compared to being independent, where you'll probably make less compared to being with a label, but you keep more of it.
Yeah, you keep 100% of it when you're independent. When you're with a label, they can give you $1 million signing fee, but it's not yours. You're $1 million in debt. Yeah. It's their money. So you got to recoup the $1 million. And then after you recoup the $1 million, you only get a 20%. They'll do like an 80-20 split. So like even after the $1 million they give you, you use that million. Like a lot of rappers, they use the $1 million they get to buy chains, cars, and they blow it stupid ways. And then once they start putting out records, if they don't make, then rappers nowadays are not making anywhere close to $1 million. And all that million goes back to just paying back the label. So then anything over $1 million, they only get 20% of it.
What happens if you don't make any of it back? Do you sound like the mob or something? Or what?
No, they shelf you. Like, if let's just say I signed a record label today for $500,000, and I put out an album and it makes $50K, they'll shelf me. Yeah. And they keep you in a contract. That's why there's so many artists who like you haven't heard of in 10 or 15 years.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because they'll put you in the back of the shelf. You never made them any money, and you can't get out of the contract.
I remember something similar with this radio show called Opie and Anthony.
Yeah.
And that happened to them where they got fired by whatever company, but since they were on contract, sure, they were still getting paid, but like for 2 years, they couldn't go to any other radio station.
Yeah, you can't do that. Yeah,
by that time, people just forget about you.
Yeah. That's what they try to do. They gas you up, and then if you don't make them any money, they shelf you so that people forget about you. And then since some people know who you are, they're making you brand deals, offers, or offering you more money, but you're under contract and you can't take any of that. And if you do, you get sued, and then there goes all your money, there goes your reputation. And it's just the record industry is a big mess. That's why I like to do everything independent.
Yeah.
But yeah, that happened. I went and I did those songs in LA with my brother. I got back a week later, and it's like a business professor who teaches business but doesn't own a business. It like makes no sense. Yeah. So this investor was a banker putting money behind me as an artist, liking what I did. But then when I come back with a song that I love, he wants me to change the lyrics to be more Disney friendly. And I'm like, I didn't write it at the time I was 25. I was like, I'm not trying to write for 12, 13-year-olds. Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, I don't think we should release it. And I released it anyway because I didn't sign the deal. The one deal I did sign was that I was going to be managed by him for 2 years. So I had to make a choice. It was either do what he said for 2 years or not do anything for 2 years till the contract was up.
What did you decide on that one?
Not to do anything for 2 years.
I respect that. Yeah.
Yeah, anything. I didn't want to sell out. Like anything, I didn't post on YouTube for 2 years. I couldn't post any music because it was all gonna go to him. So I was like, you know what? I'll take 2 years off, and I'll come back.
Is that what kind of stopped Mayberry from like continuing on, with your progress, or?
Yeah, that's what did
that was
it.
gonna be my follow up question. Like, at what point did that change? Because now it also gave you the chance to rebrand. Of course, that's the blessing in disguise. But like, I was curious on how that changed for you.
Yeah, because the trajectory was up.
Yeah.
And then that thing happened, and then it turned into this whole political thing where they wanted me to change to the Disney content, and they wanted me to change my name.
Do you still remember what it was or no?
Yeah, Rigo Rodrigo.
Oh my god.
And they wanted me to say that I was from Mexico. Like they wanted to change my whole life, and I was not gonna sell out for that. And I remember we were on a conference call, me and my brother, and he was like, "Yeah, but I think right now it's the perfect." And I can sing Spanish, but he was like, "Right now the iron's hot. Let's change your name to Rigo Rodrigo. We'll say you're from." Because I'm light complected.
Yeah.
So we'll say you're from deep Mexico, and we'll build a fan base, a Mexican fan base. And I was like, I'm not gonna lie and say like my hometown's Edinburgh. I'm not gonna be saying that I'm from.
Especially the Valley would go after you for that one.
Yeah, like what are you talking? And then all my friends and everybody I know are gonna look at me like, what a sellout! Like this guy's not Rigo Rodrigo. Like what are you talking about? And he didn't like the name Mayberry. He wanted to change it to I forgot. I think it was like something corny. And it was just everything was just corny. And I was like, dude, I'm not gonna do this. So I didn't take the money. But what I did do is sign the contract. And it was a 2-year contract. So I
did he put any pressure on you to do stuff or no?
Yeah, he wanted me to what do you mean? He wanted me to
because you decided to do nothing. Because you had the option either to continue with him managing you or just do nothing. During that time, did he try to do anything like, you know what, you better do this, or he couldn't?
He couldn't because I just refused. I'd say no. He's like, hey, I need you to play this show and do this, and I would have, but he wanted me to introduce myself as Rigo Rodrigo. So I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna do that. Like, and then he was like, well, the contract expires in 2 years, and that's a lot of time. You're in your prime, which I wasn't. I'm barely getting into my prime. Yeah. Because I was only like 20. So, no, I was maybe like 25. So he was like, you're in your prime. You're going to take 2 years off. You're going to lose touch. Your fans are going to forget about you. Like, I would accept the money. Pretend you're from Mexico. Change your name. Go Disney style. And I couldn't do it. So I was like, you know what? I'll take 2 years off. And in those 2 years, it sucked because I obviously gained weight. Yeah. I got depressed. I didn't work out. My mental health was on a decline. And I obviously wrote songs, but I couldn't do anything with it. I couldn't release them. I was in the studio every day still. But once the 2 years were up, it was go time. I got all the way up to 260 pounds. Oh, damn. In those 2 years. And it took me about 4 months to drop down to 170. Because right when the 2 years ended, boom, it was a go time. So then I started pumping out the videos. And I think it was only like 2 or 3 weeks ago that I rebranded to Stev Radio. So now that's picking up some good traction.
Oh, yeah, your videos have been doing really well. Yeah. And another fact that people don't realize is that this is actually a therapy session paid by his brother. So this podcast was a setup.
Really? Really?
Yeah.
No way.
No, yeah. There's no podcast.
It's a fake camera.
It's a fake camera.
I was like, what the that was a good one. You should have seen my face. I was like, wait, what? Yeah, you looked like that. The intervention?
No, but how did you get over the depression out of curiosity? Because I think that happened to a lot of people over the pandemic. Some people got super productive. But you actually pulled through and you said, you know what, I'm gonna lose my weight. I'm gonna continue doing content.
Yeah.
How did you like? I guess like how like the boomers saying you pulled yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yeah. No, I'm like I said, in high school, I was a quitter and I was a loser and I was a pussy. And over time, I calloused up. I went through a heartbreak and I just manned up. And if you want something, you have to go after it. If not, nothing's ever gonna come if you don't push towards it. And you got to be able to manifest it. You got to be able to feel it. You got to be able to think about how it's gonna feel when you get it, and just that in itself makes you motivated to keep striving. Because if you tell yourself you're depressed, you're gonna be depressed.
Definitely.
If you tell yourself you're happy, then your day's gonna be better. Because I can make myself sad if I wanted to, but I keep anything sad outside of my vision, unless I'm trying to write a good sad
That's what I was
song.
about to say. Like, I was about to say, like, you can use that to your advantage as well when it comes to your songwriting.
Yeah. If I ever get deep, or if I ever want to be sad, I can tap into that for a song.
What kind of memories do you use out of curiosity when it comes to that? Like, how do you make yourself sad or happy?
I just think of breakups, or things that I did that I shouldn't have done, like cheating on people, or messing up, or because when you're going through all that at such a young age, it gets to your head. Like, there's no way it doesn't get to your head. And of course, you get these luxuries that not an ordinary person gets. And I don't know anybody else who was getting that kind of popularity I was getting.
How did you trust anybody when it came to these conversations? Because at a certain point, like, this is my paranoia would be like, if you get so popular, I'm pretty sure there's going to be people like, you know what, let me get close to him because I want to use his resources, or just to say, oh, I'm friends with Stev.
Yeah. I know how to block people out, and I can read people really well. And there's a lot of people like that still, even since my Mayberry days. That they just want to get close just so that they can say, oh, yeah, he's my homie. Or just to be yes men. So, like, anything I do, like, yeah, that's awesome. And even though I know it's trash, like, oh, dude, that's the greatest thing you've ever written. And that's how I kind of weed people out.
How do you realize a person's a yes person rather than just trying to be a friend who, like, wants to support you? Like, how can you tell the difference?
Well, I can always tell because they have an ulterior motive. Like, they want something in return. Like, I'm friends with everybody, and I'll always be nice to everybody. I won't be mean to anybody. I'll always give somebody the time of day. If people want to do a podcast, I'll do it with you for sure. Because I always want to give back. Because I believe in good karma and bad karma. And I've experienced both. I've done bad things, and then it comes back and bites me in the ass. And then I've done good things out of the kindness of my heart. And then better things come with that. But when it comes to friends, I keep a close circle. And then if I genuinely feel that you're a good person and you're not trying to use me, then that's all it really is.
I guess our friendship's over now.
It's all over.
Yeah, I came here just to use his name. I have a podcast with Mayberry.
Yeah, dude, but that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Here's another question though. Just to continue off on that topic, how have you kept your friendships for a long time? Because I'll get personal. I have gone into some kind of arguments with my friends that were like very close friends since high school. I guess the way to put it would be, some people think like I became distant, but not because I don't like them. Like I still love them. But I think like how you're mentioning, where you need to be surrounding yourself with people who are productive.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't really consider them as productive. They could be productive. Some of them have talent, but they don't do anything with it.
Yeah.
And after a while, like, it kind of bears on you, where like, how can you continue friendship with people who aren't doing it? Because you want them to do something, but it's just not happening. And eventually you kind of like, sometimes it's not that you're being successful or anything like that. It's not that. It's just that they're not doing what they could be doing, and it's just, it weighs down on you, because then you're doing all this stuff, and sometimes you don't even have enough time. Like I'm pretty sure like you have to deal with work, all the video content, the gym. How do you like keep these long-term relationships, whether it be your friendships or just people in general?
Well, honestly, all my friends are people who are like me, who are productive. I don't hang around with Not to say that they're losers, but
Yeah, just
I don't.
at least just unproductive.
Yeah, unproductive. I can't associate with people who don't strive for anything, because I know so many people who have so many talents and they wake up and they don't even want to go get a job.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to do anything. They can draw, they can play guitar, they can sing, and they'd rather be, nah, I want to play Xbox, or I'd rather do this, or I'd rather.
Yeah,
And it's like, dude, you're wasting your time. You're only going to be 25, 26, 27, 28,
for a certain
29
amount. Yeah.
once. What are you going to do when you're 35 and you're like, shit, I had all that time and all I
Mm-hmm.
did was play Xbox, or all I did was smoked weed and drank every weekend?
Yeah.
So I try not to drink. I don't smoke weed. I just try to stay focused as much as I can. And yeah, I'm human. Obviously, I have fuck ups,
Mm-hmm.
but you just got to keep pushing forward. And if you get knocked down, and like I said, I'm human, things happen to me. Um, but as long as you get up and you keep moving forward,
Mm.
you'll always get ahead.
And how do you hold on? Like, okay, so when you were like first like picking off or taking off, sorry,
Mhm.
um, did any of your friends were like, oh, this guy thinks he's all cool now that he's having all this success?
Uh,
And because I'm pretty sure you started cutting off certain people who were unproductive. Like, did
yeah.
they ever like say like, you know what, fuck you, like
You think you're better
you
than
think you're better than
me?
us? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, for
How did you
sure.
handle that kind of situation?
Well, it was more people that didn't like me already.
Hmm.
So, and like I said, my a lot of my audience are females. So like when their girlfriends are listening to me, that like gets them on a whole nother level.
Oh, I can imagine the jealousy.
Yeah. It's like it's a jealousy thing. I've even recently there was a guy who his girlfriend's a big fan of mine,
Hmm.
and the guy was pissed off at me, and it's like, dude, I didn't write
That's
this
such a
song
yeah.
for your girlfriend. I didn't even know, like, and he was pissed. And he sent me a message saying, "Oh, obviously, I don't read hate comments.
Hmm.
Well, I read them, but they don't affect me because I've been dealing with hate comments since I was
Since
16.
yeah.
So my brain is callous to that."
Have you ever tried like trolling them? Like, yeah, it actually was about her. How did
But
you find out?
I know, right? Shit. No, but no, I'm used to it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, with love, you're always gonna get hate. It's never gonna be a one-sided thing.
Mm.
So you gotta like, and then you too, like with your podcast. I'm sure you're doing great, and I'm sure you're gonna be getting some hate soon. And if you haven't had any yet,
No, I yeah, already.
yeah, if you haven't had any yet, expect more. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sweeten it up for you and make it sound like it's gonna be all roses and
No, it's
rainbows.
not.
It's not. You're gonna be going through some stuff. I've been through some stuff. I've felt like I'm on top of the world one day, and the next day I read one bad comment,
Hmm.
and it makes you insecure, and you're like, "Fuck, I fucked up with this and this and this," and it's part of the journey, man. That's how you learn.
What advice would you give, not just to me, but like to other people who are going through that process? Where I'm pretty sure there's musicians right now who are popping up, like they're starting off their careers, and eventually they will start getting hate. How do you handle that?
Don't stop.
Don't stop.
Don't stop. Because no matter what, the hate is always going to be there. If you
Hmm.
stop, they win.
Hmm.
And all they want is to get you pissed off. If you can allow another human to control your emotions, you lose.
Hmm.
So I refuse to let any human control my emotions. Once I put my mind to something, it's getting done.
Yeah.
If I say I have a video due on Monday, it's getting done. If I have to finish a song tonight, it's getting done. If me and you are doing a podcast today, we're doing a podcast today.
Yes.
If somebody's gonna comment and say, "Oh man, fuck Mayberry, they suck. The pop music sucks, man. This was a horrible interview," who gives a fuck? It's a
Hmm.
comment. It's another view. I don't look at it like, "Oh shit, delete it, block it." Like, we don't need that. Just let hate comments and love comments all be there. I don't ever block or delete or do any of
Yeah.
that shit to my comments. Like, 'cause fuck it. Like, who cares? They look stupid for leaving a hater comment when 90% of them is love, and you've got 5 or 6 people saying, "Oh fuck this," "Oh the song sucks," "Oh the
Hmm.
original's better." It doesn't affect me at all. Like, dude, okay, like, and it
Yeah.
doesn't get me angry. It doesn't get me mad. But you'll never please everybody.
Hmm.
So if you're just starting out and you're nervous about getting haters, then this is not for you.
Yeah.
Like, honest to truth, like, Because, like I said, when I was in high school, I was scared of that. I hated confrontation. I was scared of being hated on. I was scared of not making friends.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I've gotten older and I've learned to deal with all that, like, dude, and at the end of the day, nobody really, realistically, nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a fuck. So as long as you do what you love, you're good. And you'll always get hate comments. Even if Stev gets 20 times bigger this time next year, 20% of them are going to be hate comments. And that's not going to stop me. It's not going to make me be like, oh, man, I should delete this video. This guy said it sucked.
Yeah.
You just got to keep going. You can't let it get to your head. On both sides. You don't want to let it get to your head, too, where you think you're too cool.
Yeah.
And you start turning down interviews, and you stop replying to fans, and you stop reposting stories, and you stop, like, you don't ever want to be too much on the right where you think you're a rock star and a god, and then you don't want to be held down by haters that are trying to put you down.
How did you do that on the other side of not letting it get to your head?
It did for a little bit.
How did you realize that was an issue, and then you're like, okay, let me fix this?
It did when I was doing the boys like girls thing, because I was around actual rock stars.
Yeah.
So then I start believing that I'm a rock star, but I've never in my whole life been an asshole. So, but it was just more one of those things where I just thought I was cooler than I was, and I'm not. Like I'm an ordinary dude who works a full-time job and does music. But that only lasted a little bit. Play shows. It started happening when we would play shows here at the pavilion, and we would have like a meet and greet of like 300 people, a meet and greet line. So like those kind of moments make you be like, fuck, I'm a rock star.
Yeah.
And then you get home and you're laying in bed at night by yourself, and you're like, I can't be thinking that way, because I'm going to lose fans. Once you're cocky, people start saying like, you know what? Like, I'm not into this guy if he's going to be acting like this. So you never want to be too cocky.
You just want to be confident, basically.
Just confident, and you want to be helpful to upcoming artists, upcoming creators, upcoming videographers. I try to be helpful to everybody. If anybody ever wants to do a podcast, I always say yes. I will always make time, because I know how it feels to be on the other side.
Yeah.
Of me asking musicians for help and them telling me no. And that makes you feel like shit. It's like, well, fuck, who do I ask? So now anybody ever wants to do a podcast with me, or a song with me, or hey, can you teach me how to write this? I always try to say yeah, because like I said, I believe in karma, and what you give, you get back. So
I'm glad you kept up that, because it has been an issue, like even at work, where sometimes you see these guys who they started off from the bottom, and the moment they get a position as a manager, they immediately switch over and like, oh, like they forget, they forget about like how it was struggling. Because that happened to me at work, where like there's this guy who he's a nice guy still, but like he has this air of like cockiness, whatever, just because he got moved up as a manager.
Yeah, he's on a power trip.
Yeah, like he's still a good person to me, but like you can kind of see the difference. I'm like, okay, this guy thinks he's all that now that, no,
yeah, you gotta stay balanced, dude. And having a good support system, a good family, people to keep you grounded.
Have you ever been humbled?
In what way?
In terms of like where you're feeling so good about yourself, and you're like, maybe you're getting a little too cocky, and someone tells you, hey, you're not that big.
There's been a couple of, I'm trying to think of a good one. It's never nothing mean. I remember one year we played NSN like 3 or 4 times. No, actually, fuck, there's a couple of them, but none where it's like, hey, you're not fucking as cool as you think you are.
Yeah.
It was just like where I would invite so many people out to a show. Oh, well, one time we played a show at Moonbeans Coffee, and back then they used to do acoustic live performances, and Mayberry was up and coming, so I tweeted on our Twitter, doing a live acoustic performance at 7 p.m. at Moonbeans. And I don't know if you remember the old Moonbeans.
No, I barely started like getting involved like this year or so.
Oh, okay, no, that's the new one. This is the old one. It was a smaller place. So I put everybody pull up at 6 o'clock or at 7 o'clock. We're gonna do an acoustic performance. The place held the place held maybe like 45 people if you crammed them in a room.
Mm-hmm.
Like 200 people showed up.
Damn.
They had to call the fire department. And the owner of Moonbeams like cussed me out. And it wasn't my fault. Like I was like, dude, they were like, they're not fucking buying coffee. Like they came to see you play. You should have told us that you guys were a little bigger band. We thought you were just, because there's musicians who do it like the way I do it, and then there's the ones who just perform like at restaurants and like at Mexican restaurants. And I guess they thought I was one of those guys who was just gonna come in and play while everybody drinks coffee. But I put on a full-on show, and they called the fire department, and we got banned from Moonbeams.
Oh my god!
So that was like a humbling moment because I'm in front of all my fans, and the owner's yelling at me, and the fire department's like, "Get the fuck out!" I'm like, "Oh no." I mean, I've had some humbling moments too when I'm recording.
Yeah.
With, like I said, the guys from Boys Like Girls who have been doing it forever, and they just remind you like you're not as good as you think you are. Mm-hmm. When I'm in the booth, because you'll go in cocky, thinking like, okay, well, I'll get this take, and then I'll show up with a song, and they'll read it, and they'll be like, man, this is shit. I'm like, go back upstairs and do something better. And I come back, hey, what about this? Shit, do better. So that always humbles you to become a better writer.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, it's lessons. So I never look at things negatively. Even if something negative happens to me, I try to look at the positive side of it and see like I said, I don't take L's as losses. I take L's as lessons. Mm-hmm. So if something bad happens to me, that's a lesson. It's not a loss.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always something to learn.
It's always. You gotta keep a winner mentality. You gotta be ferocious. You gotta go hard. And you cannot give a fuck about what people say. I'm sure you get some hate about your podcast. And at the end of the day, dude, you do what you do. You're great at it. You know how to set all this up. It's fucking awesome. I don't even know how the fuck this works. And
it took a lot of trials and errors, like how you said, like the L's. You have to learn through that.
Yeah, dude. And
because if you just do it right the first time and you don't know how you succeeded, you didn't learn a lesson.
Exactly. Yeah. Like looking at this shit, looking at that shit, like I'm fucking confused. But you know what you're doing, and the only way
you know how to do all this stuff.
Yeah, dude. And the only way you know how to do all this is because you didn't quit.
Yeah.
That's simple. I had people who ask me all the time, "Oh, I want to be a singer. What do I do?" Mm-hmm. Start. Like, I can't tell you what to do. Just start. And I get messages every day telling me, "Hey, I'm an upcoming singer. What do you have any advice?" And I always just say, "Start."
Yeah.
Because if you don't start, then what advice can I possibly give you if you haven't even started? Mm-hmm.
That's why that Nike, that quote they have or slogan they have, it's very powerful. Just do it.
Yeah. Just do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because you get shit done when you just do it.
Yeah. Even if you fuck up, like it's something. It's better than nothing at all.
Yeah. You're still learning and you're still getting shit done. Because if not, time's going to go by either way. Mm-hmm. So you either want to create and get stuff done or just sit on the sidelines and, like you said, be a consumer.
Yeah.
You can either watch my content and scroll and watch my content and scroll.
And it gets even worse with TikTok where it's endless scrolling. Like, there's no end.
I don't have TikTok on my phone, but I need to get it. I download it maybe once every 2 days just to post up a new reel that I posted on Instagram, but I delete it just so that I don't get distracted.
Yeah, no, it can be very addictive. Like the algorithm they have is so precise to exactly what you want.
That's crazy.
Like nothing's near YouTube, Netflix. No other algorithm is close to what TikTok does. And
that's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
I need to get my TikTok game up.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, like for real. I'm gonna study that this week because I need to get my TikTok game on another level. Mm-hmm. And like I said, every time I feel like I'm mastering an app, there's a new one coming out, and I'm like, fuck.
How did you keep yourself fresh? Because I think at a certain part, like this is going to the whole about age, whatever. Mm-hmm. At a certain point, some people just give up. Like, you know what? I learned what I learned. I'm not going to any other platform. I just quit.
Are you asking if I'm gonna quit?
No. I'm asking you how have you kept up? Because you had mentioned you first started off with MySpace. Mm-hmm. Then you moved on to like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Like, what kept you motivated to like actually switching platforms? Because I think at a certain age, even at our age, people just give up and like, you know what, I'm just staying here. I'm not going to that next platform.
Yeah, no, I'll always go to every platform.
Mm-hmm.
The more ears I can capture, the better for me. Because I have songs that are anti-suicide songs. I have songs for breakups.
Mm-hmm.
I have songs that have a meaning behind them. I've gotten messages where people tell me, "Oh, you saved my life with this song." And I have a song, like I said, was an anti-suicide song called "I See More in You."
Yeah.
And I have had thousands of messages to people saying, "Man, that song really changed my perspective and the way I look at the world." And I have breakup songs, and I have a song called White Light about somebody in my family dying, and I played it at a funeral before, which was emotional.
Mm-hmm.
But I write about anything, and the more ears I can reach, the better.
Mm-hmm.
So even if it gets me 10 times more tired and they come up with 100 new apps, I'll fucking get on all the apps.
Yeah.
I'm here to take over. I'm not here to just play around for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Did you? Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just trying to be the best person I can be,
Mm-hmm.
and the best musician I can. And if it's doing it independently or down the line, I get a deal that I can't refuse, and we'll see what happens. But for right now, I'm happy,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm making music that means something to me, and yeah, hopefully within the next year, I'll play another show so that you can go check us out.
I have to. Yes.
Yeah, you have. You'll love it. You'll talk to Derek. He's seen me play.
He's always giving me good compliments. Like, this guy's amazing and all that stuff. I'm like, because we were like once talking about what kind of a super group I would make. Because I know like, a lot of the younger guys. And I told him, well, I think you would probably be the lead singer. And I mentioned like some other guys. Like, there's this guy named Lincoln. He is part of a band called Principium. He is the best player under 18 for piano. Like, this guy is very talented.
Really?
Yeah. So I would have him. There's this bassist named Francisco. Very good. Like, because my issue is I don't just want musicians. Like, I want people who actually have a stage presence and are performers.
Yeah.
And when it came to a lead singer, he's like, it has to be Stev. It has to be like this.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah.
At
like,
the stage performance,
presence, yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mentioned like a bunch of other names. Like, no, like if you want a lead singer, it has to be him. I'm like, yeah, that would be like the hypothetical dream team.
That'd be sick, dude. Maybe one day we play a show.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty dope.
The question I was going to ask you, just to backtrack a little bit, it was about age, because you mentioned like how the years just passed on. Did you ever have like what's called like the quarter life crisis?
Yep.
Because that happened to me a little bit, where I'm like, okay, I'm 25. That means I only have 15 years till I hit 40.
Mm-hmm.
How do you like handle that kind of situation? Where like, okay, you know what do I do now, and how do I move forward, knowing that this time is very limited?
It is,
because it's not like 40s is like the end, but like at that stage, you're kind of like, okay, you're going downhill.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
Depends on how you look at things.
Yeah.
But I had a quarter life crisis. I was in a relationship with a girl, and all she wanted was to get married by 25.
Yeah.
And that was the last thing on my mind. So that was hard, because I was with her for like 8 years. And she would always remind me, propose by 25, propose by 25. So to me, that put me in a crisis, because I was so much extra added pressure. Like, fuck, she wants me to propose by the age of 25. So I did get a little depressed, because I knew I wasn't. And I knew that I was going to break her heart not proposing at 25. So that midlife crisis all happened in the same 2 years where my music career got shut down.
Oh no!
So yeah, it was a hard 2 years, and I would consider it a midlife crisis, because all that happened
all at once,
and it made me stronger overall.
Yeah, and that's what I love hearing. Like, it's always good. Like, people always love hearing like the redemption arc, whatever. Yeah. Like, it's one thing cheering on a person when they're going up and they like succeed. Mm-hmm. But I also like hearing stories where a person succeeds, they fall down, and they come back up.
Yeah, that's my favorite. I love an underdog story.
Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure you're gonna have that one again.
What was that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're going to have that again.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude.
Because I think after all these lessons you learned, I mean, there's no way you're just gonna stop. Like,
no,
now you know what to avoid.
And I'm barely getting warmed up. right now I'm only doing acoustic covers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting incorporating drums, bass, guitar, and then these are covers. These
Mm-hmm.
are not even my songs yet. Well, I remix my. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but I remix my own lyrics in the covers.
Yeah.
So I'll do first verse their song, second verse my lyrics, just so that I can keep it a little bit of Stev there, just so it isn't a straight
Mm-hmm.
boring cover. I always write my own lyrics into the covers, but yeah, I'm barely getting started with the Stev stuff. I haven't even released a solo record yet.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm gonna do a PR rollout, photo shoot, music videos, all that's in the works, and it's only gonna get better. So I'm excited about it. That's why when you asked for me to come on, I was like, yeah, I have so
Yeah.
much to say because I'm barely getting started.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Mayberry was huge. So I can only imagine what
Stev?
what
Yeah.
Stev's gonna do.
Damn, that's exciting.
Yeah, dude.
What kind of advice would what kind of advice would you give, I guess, to people who are on this, not that they already started, but like they're on this musical journey. They're doing like the local circuit rounds. You know, they're playing at the Gremlin, they're playing at whatever DIY venues are nearby. What kind of advice would you give them, and how would you encourage them to go to the next level?
Okay. I would say to keep practicing,
Mm-hmm.
but don't do it every weekend. You gotta practice every day. Every day.
Yeah.
When it comes to shows, make sure your stage presence is on point. Make sure you get crowd engagement. Make sure you make good merch. Make sure you put on a good show. You want to be able to be interactive with the crowd because the last thing you want, and I've done it before. I did a tour in the middle of Texas where there's 3 people there, and I'm trying my hardest to get them to come to the stage.
Yeah.
You want to, yeah, even if you practice alone in the mirror in your room, you want to, or even when you're having band practice, pretend like the crowd is there and you're interacting with them, like you can talk to them, because then they feel a connection and they want to sit there and watch you. If you're just singing your songs and you're looking at the fucking ceiling and you're ready to get the set over with, the people there don't care. They're waiting for the next band.
Mm-hmm.
You got to make it interactive. You got to put on a good show. You got to make sure your vocals are on point. You got to make sure your guitar, your drummer, and bass are all in sync. Like I said, have good merch, have a good social media following.
Mm-hmm.
I know it sucks, and you probably won't believe me because I post so many stories on my personal fucking Instagram. I barely post stories on my music page, but you gotta stay interactive on social media because people forget about you. People's attention spans right now are nothing.
Yeah.
So you gotta stay in their face constantly, and like I said, don't give up. The moment you feel you have a bad show and you're like, you know what, this isn't for me, you're quitting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, deep down, people know they can do so much more than what they're doing, and that's what makes the difference between somebody who quits and keeps going. Because if I wanted to, I could have quit 3-4 years ago when I was depressed for a couple months. I could have been like, you know what, fuck, this sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the people who push through that boundary and push through those mountains and those hills. That's where you learn about yourself, and that's where you build mental fortitude and mental strength and emotional strength. And you learn to control your emotions. You learn how to control your anger. You learn how to control your sadness.
Mm-hmm.
You know how to interact. Like I can walk into a room right now. Like my job is based on sales.
Yeah.
10 years ago, I couldn't sell shit. I was an introvert, couldn't talk to anybody. Like, let's just say it was 10 years ago today. I would be so nervous sitting next to you because I don't know you. I've never met you.
No.
I'm freaking out like, fuck, what the fuck am I going to talk about? It just takes time. And you gotta learn to be patient. Nothing is ever going to happen overnight. Anything that's ever happened to me takes time, but you got to manifest. You got to think about it. You got to really want it. You can't just say, "Oh yeah, well, I'm gonna manifest a Ferrari," and then go lay down and whatever. You got to really think about something tangible that you want deep down. Work towards it. 100% believe it, and it'll happen. I promise you. Everything I've ever manifested has come true. And it's not just because I manifest it and then I go carry on with my day. It's because I manifest it and then I put the steps in order on what I need to do to get there. And once you do that and you put that intention out there, it'll always fucking happen. I'm not joking. Anything I've ever wanted has happened because I manifest it. I put in that energy, and you have to have a relentless work ethic. All my best friends have relentless work ethics. If you're not pushing it to the extreme, then you're not pushing it at all.
Definitely. So the last question I usually ask my guests is, what was your favorite part of the podcast?
Meeting you. It was nice to meet you, man.
Same.
Yeah, I've been following you for a while, and I was looking at your stuff, and I really was excited to meet you.
Same.
And I wanted to pick your brain a little bit. I know you picked mine, but I know this is going to be the first of many podcasts we're going to do together for sure.
You said you were going to ask me some questions. What questions did you have in mind?
Yeah, I just wanted to know when you started this. What was the switch that made you want to start doing this?
So basically, what happened was, like about 2 years ago when COVID was hitting, one of my friends, he became my friend, but this guy named Paulo Honey got interviewed by KRGV because there was this whole Asian hatred going on because of COVID. And basically anybody who's Asian here in the Valley gets called Chinito or Chinese, whatever. So he was going through that. Yeah. And he made a song called Yellow Boy where he was trying to take back that word. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of interesting because I know there's racial humor. We all joke about that stuff. But to be like actually malicious about that stuff, that's kind of fucked up.
Oh, they were being mean about it?
Yeah, like malicious, yeah. Oh. Like it's one thing like joking around about it because he does love the racial humor, but like once you become mean and it's a different aspect, whatever. So we started like talking on Instagram for a while. And I realized like, you know what, there's an actual music scene because he was like posting about like how there's moonbeams and a bunch of other places. And I'm like, oh shit, like there's talent here, but no one knows about it. Yeah. And it took me an interview and just talking to him because he couldn't have talked to me. Like back then I only had like 20 followers and they're all from my hometown. So the fact that he talked to me too was like, okay, cool. And then the fact that I realized that there's all this talent here, I'm like, okay, how do I put a spotlight on them? Because my background is advertising and media production. So I had already done like a couple of podcasts before, but like, it never became anything. Only like on my hometown, some people were like, hey, I'm listening to your podcast. And I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. That's how you build up.
Yeah, that's how you build up. And this eventually started taking off where I told him, like, hey, let's do a podcast and you can talk about like your situation and we'll promote your music because he had like some kind of song coming up. And ever since then, like it just took off. I had him, I had Derek and a bunch of others. And
how do you know Derek?
Derek, someone shared one of his stories or like one of his performances or something. And I messaged him on Christmas of last year. That's when we first started talking. And he was telling me like how, hey, like you should start a podcast. And I'm like, well, I'm already thinking about that.
And did you tell him you were going to come to my house?
No, this is like when we first talked. It was last Christmas.
No, but does he know that you're here?
Oh, yeah, he knows. Okay. He's aware. Yeah, I was actually talking with him before we came here. I was over there because we're planning some stuff. And
were you asking him, like, is he a dick or is he cool or is he...
No, I didn't ask any questions. I don't like knowing about people until I meet them.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, because it's easier. Because, again, all of this is unscripted. Nothing... any question I come up with is just on the moment. Yeah. So, like, don't tell me. Like, the only thing he showed me was, like, the music videos. And he was talking about, like, Ryan Seacrest. I'm like, okay, whatever. And it wasn't that I was trying to ignore him, but, like, I got a call from my sister to pick her up from school. So, like, the conversation just ended there. So, like, once we mentioned like, the whole Ryan Seacrest thing, I'm like, oh, okay, he brought it up good.
Yeah, I got you.
And damn, I'll say it right here, like, I'll say it publicly, but he was trying to make me break you from character.
Why? What do you mean?
Just because, like, you seem like a very serious person. Yeah. And regardless, like, I love to mess around with my guests just to have fun. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? I'll do it.
But he didn't think I would laugh or what?
He didn't say anything. He just said, can you make him break from character? Because, like, you're a very serious person or, like, you're very business-oriented.
Oh, I got you.
And, well, like, I was like, either way, I love messing around with my guests just to have fun.
Yeah, I'm a fun guy. I'm business-oriented when it comes to the music. But outside of that, I'm a chiflon.
Yeah, because, like, you keep going on. I'm like, okay, this guy's serious right now. He's saying this stuff. How can I break him? And the moment he said something about depression, I'm like, oh, I know what I'm going to do.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah. But yeah, I just love having fun because after a while, it kind of gets boring. Like if it's just really on, like completely serious, it just.
And how do you pick your guests?
Well, Well, in the beginning, I was just talking to whoever like had like a decent following. Not that I don't want to get like nobodies, but just like
Yeah.
I know they're serious about their craft.
Yeah.
And one way to tell is like if they have a bigger following and if they have like if they're posting content consistently.
Mhm.
That's how you tell a person's doing the work. Other times, people have just reached out to me. Like ever since I did one of the interviews with a band called the Blow Up Dolls, a bunch of people just started like talking to me. So I'm like, okay, cool. This is it. So my requirements are basically: are you actually taking this seriously? Do you have a following? And are you going to continue doing music?
Yeah.
Because there's no point of interviewing you and then you just quit out of nowhere. And what was the point?
I got you.
Yeah. That was mainly it. I mean, I don't. And even if they're smaller than me, because I'm not big, I'm like I only have like 200 followers. I mean,
Yeah, dude, but you'll grow. Everybody started with 200 followers.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like even if they're smaller than me, like if they have 60 or 100, if I see that they're working hard and they're trying to do something, I'll get them on.
I started with 0 followers following 500 people.
Oh damn.
And I could not get a follow back. It'll happen. Just
Yeah.
patience and keep going. As long as you don't stop, I promise you,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be.
Yeah, like there's
super
already
big.
like some.
And
big
you already
people.
have good communication skills. It's not like you're awkward or anything.
Yeah.
You've got it all. You've got all the setup.
I'm only social when I'm on the podcast.
But yeah,
the moment it shuts off, I'm like, okay, well, time to go.
Yeah, I know. I'm the same way. Yeah, like right now, I'm gonna go take a shower, go to bed.
Yeah, because there's been people who I interview who are very shy, like when we're starting off. But then I see like their stuff, like when they're performing, and they're like complete rock stars. Like there's this switch where, yeah,
That's how I am. I'm an introvert at heart, but when it's time to get on stage or perform, like that last video I did,
yeah,
you just gotta turn it on because that's what girls and guys they want to see. They want to see somebody with that kind of confidence, even if you're faking the confidence.
yeah.
They're like, "Fuck, this guy's fucking feeling himself."
Mm-hmm.
And then when it's over, just go back to your own.
Yeah, go back to your own
the
world.
Introvert life.
Yeah, man,
But let's get a picture.
definitely.
Let me get my brother in here so he can take a bath. One of us.
All right, go for it. So thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next episode. Yeah, we're still going on.
Oh shit.
No, I just thank you guys for watching this episode. It was a blast having you on. And do you want to plug in your social media?
Yes, follow me on Instagram, Stev Radio, TikTok, Stev Radio. What else is there?
Your TikTok?
Oh, Twitter at
Twitter,
Mayberry Band. I couldn't change the handle because I'm verified.
Mhm.
And Facebook, still Mayberry Band. And if you want, follow me on Twitter, my personal Twitter, my personal Instagram, Stevie Make You Wonder.
Got it. Well, thank you guys for watching, and we'll
Thanks,
take the
brother.
picture right now. Appreciate it.